Okay, welcome Year 11s. This is Mr. Hinchliffe speaking on behalf of the History Department at Joe Richardson Community School. So I'd like to welcome you to this taster session for A-Level History. I'd also like to give a warm welcome to any guest students from the other schools in the borough who may be coming to Joe Richardson next year. We've always had a very good high-level contingent of guest students, so that hopefully you find this session really helpful as well. And the main priority of this session is to really kind of see if history is the correct course for you next year. Usually around this time of year, lots of different subjects would be giving taster sessions for you guys, and then you would be able to make your final decision when you get your results. We're obviously in a very, very different situation, so we thought in the history department it would be very helpful for you to kind of have a somewhat of a taster to see if you are picking the right course, and that's really important at A-level. So I'm going to talk through a couple of things about studying A-level history at Joe Richardson. I'm going to talk through our specification. I'm going to show you some of the resources that we have for you for when you study A-level history, and there's a couple of tasks as well that we would want you to complete over the summer in preparation for starting your studies in September as well. So first of all, what I will show you is two websites that have been created this over the period of the last few weeks that will hugely help you if you are to pick A-level history at Joe Richardson. The first one, which I will show you, is dedicated to the A-level course and the specification. So what we've got first is this one here. So it's the JRCS A-level history page, and what you've got here is a lot of recommended reading, and you've got that for the breakdown of each of the units, each of the courses. So here you can see Germany, paper 1, which is Germany and West Germany, and you've got a series of books. And the great thing about this website is every single book has a link to either Amazon or eBay as well, so and has like a little synopsis of what the book is. If the book has an asterisk, we have a copy. I particularly have a copy that you can borrow at some point as well. So yeah, that's Germany. Also, there's just general reading as well about the time period as well, if you want to kind of broaden your historical understanding about the time periods we're teaching about. So there's ones for Germany, Italy, Britain, and kind of Europe in the 20th century as well. Again, some really, really fantastic books, and we're more than happy to recommend or lend them as well. We've also got documentaries, so lots of different documentaries that you can use. Some have links here, so this is paper 2 for Italy. It takes a bit of time to load sometimes. So some of the videos are available on the page here. You can just click the YouTube link straight away and watch it straight from there. Others, you've obviously got documentaries here as well. So you've got that for all of the courses. There's also lectures as well. So kind of university style lectures. It's a really good one here by Ian Kershaw on the cult of Hitler. You've got ones by Weitz on the Weimar Republic. Yeah, all sorts. Places to visit as well. And also to kind of incite your interest as well, there's lots of good film and TV out there for all of the A-level course, and here you will find a lot of them. There's a lot for the Germany course, particularly a lot of the films from the 1920s. They're all available here as well, and most of them have English subtitles as well, so you can kind of make your way through that as well. It's taken a while to load, I'm afraid. But they're all there as well for each of the courses, podcasts and websites. So this website is really helpful. The supercurricular website is more to do with when you end up going, when you're applying for university, and if you've made the decision that you want to apply for a history degree. Supercurricular is the idea that you need to do more than simply have just studied your specification at A level. Supercurricular is about kind of really immersing yourself within that topic, within that subject. So if you were to study A level history and you'd studied Germany, Italy, Britain, and the coursework, a top university like Cambridge or Oxford, they're not interested if that's all you've read or you've only watched documentaries on Germany. They'd want you to kind of prove that you've broadened your horizons a little bit, and you may have read a book on medieval history or kind of been really interested in Roman history. So this is what this website's all about. It's been put together for you as well to help. So it's got teacher recommendations as well. So it's looking at the kind of different things that the history department are reading as well. So you might be inspired by that. So I read The Five, which is a really good book. There's some documentaries on here as well, and books as well. It's got the recommended reading is split into time periods. You got also the same kind of things as the A level page. You got lectures and events, documentaries, magazines, websites, places to visit. So all the different places that you can go in London, in the UK, and hopefully one day Europe again. And again, you can look through, and it's got links to all of the websites as well. Lots of these museums are doing interactive virtual visits that you can go on as well. So obviously you can't go at the moment, but apparently from the 4th of July all these are opening again, and podcasts as well. So they're the two websites that both the links to both these sites are on the page that I'm going to give you, but also on the Joe Richardson history website as well. So if you go to Key Stage 5, you'll find the links to these two websites as well. Okay, so kind of already alluded to the specification a little bit, but ultimately the A-level history, we use Edexcel. That is our exam board. It's the same one as we used with the GCSE course. If you have studied GCSE history at Joe Richardson, we use Edexcel. Although, we have had students who have not taken history at GCSE before. So you don't have to have studied history at GCSE. It's desirable, but it's not essential. So in year 12, you study 2 units alongside each other. So you'll have one teacher for paper 1 and you'll have one teacher for paper 2, and you'll do both of them at the same time. Usually about 5 hours a week of A-level history. The Germany course is given 3 hours and the Italy course is given 2. Germany is worth 30%, so that's the reason for that. It's a bigger course, so it needs more time, whereas Italy is worth 20%. So Germany, it starts in 1918 with the end of the First World War. It goes through the Weimar Republic years of the 1920s. It looks at the Nazi dictatorship, but then it goes beyond that, and it looks at the formation of the Federal Republic of Germany, which is often known as West Germany as well. And so it's kind of the story of democracy and dictatorship within Germany as well. That paper is 2 hours 15, and it does have interpretations as well on Hitler's foreign policy in the 1930s. Most people do like the Germany paper, obviously, because they've already got a good knowledge of it already, and many have studied it at GCSE. I have generally mainly taught the Germany paper over the last few years. Paper 2 is the rise and fall of fascism in Italy. So it starts in 1911 when Italy was a liberal state, and then obviously the impact of the First World War and how Italy then, under the leadership of Benito Mussolini, became a fascist dictatorship and allied with Nazi Germany. The Italy paper the exam is an hour and 30 minutes. It's 2 questions, Germany 3, and it's got one of the questions is sources. Okay. At the end or towards the end of year 12, you will start the coursework unit, which ultimately is assessing the causes of the First World War and why historians have debated it. The coursework is worth 20%, and you ultimately will write that over the summer holidays after year 12, but it won't be completely submitted until the last year of the A-level course in year 13 in May, towards the end. In year 13 at the start, you start paper 3, which is the British experience of warfare. So it starts in 1790, and it's assessing how warfare has changed through the lens of the British Army. Tactics, reforms, what was going on at home during war. So it starts off with the Napoleonic Wars. It looks at the Crimean War of 1854. It looks at the Second Boer War in the late 1890s, early 1900s, and then it looks at the kind of changing nature of warfare in the First World War, trench warfare, and the war in the air as well, the development of aerial combat as well. That's worth 30% as well. It's the British experience is a big course. So that's all of the specification. Again, it goes into more detail on exam guidance and how the questions work on the A-level page, so you can look at that as well if you're more interested in what the questions look like. There's a lot of guidance there for you. Okay, so the main thing we want to consider then is a little bit of knowledge to kind of get you ready, lay the foundations for September based on the Germany and Italy courses, but also just to see how interested you actually are in the study of history. So task 1 is to fill out the history curiosity sheet. Now, studying A-level history is very different to studying at a GCSE. It's a lot higher level, and the jump is big. So we want to make sure that, again, you're on the right course and you know what you're in for. So if you just scroll down, I'll talk about this reading in a bit. Here it starts here. So what we've got here is there's 5 different tasks that we want you to do to ignite your kind of passion and your interest for the study of history. And the tasks require you to do lots of different things with lots of different learning styles. So the first thing to do is to watch this YouTube clip, and it's an introduction to the discipline of history. So history is a science ultimately. There is a certain way of learning it, and there's a certain way of interpreting it and understanding it. So this quick YouTube video, it's really good. It's not very long. Tells us about the idea of history as a discipline. There's some prompt questions here. So what excites you about learning about history? And then we want to know why you think it is so important to study the past. Why are we even bothering looking into the past? Okay, and we'd like you to write a reflection on that. Number 2 is to watch a historical lecture. So again, if you are thinking one day you do want to study history at university, you will go to lectures, so it's good to get used to that experience of a lecture. This particular lecture is on the Treaty of Versailles 100 years later. So it's by a historian called Margaret Macmillan. It's a very, very interesting lecture. It's about 45 minutes long, but it's really worth it. And we want you to consider, what does Macmillan suggest was the driving factor for the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, and what does she argue was the biggest impact of the signing of the Treaty of Versailles? Task 3, we would like to listen to a podcast, and this is kind of open-ended. You can listen to anything. You can use the Supercurricular page, or the A-level history page has lots and lots of different podcasts. Or you might just simply go for this one, which is Dan Carlin. He's really great. He's very, very enthusiastic, and you can pick anything from there, any topic that interests you. What are your thoughts on it? So write a brief reflection of what you learned, what was interesting about the particular area that you chose. Visit a museum or historical site. So I showed you on the A-level page that you've got the supercurricular page as well. There is places to visit. Google Arts and Culture is a really great place, and ultimately you can search any place, any historical landmark or museum or site from around the world, and you can virtually visit it. So you've got two links here for figures or objects. Have a look at the website, or go use the supercurricular page and use a link. And again, find something that interests you. There's some prompt questions here. So why have you chosen that object? What's its importance? Can you comment on the provenance of the object? So, where's it from? What does it tell us? Whatnot. Finally, to read a book. So again, you can use the two websites to find a book recommendation. But the one that I recommend for now is this one, A Little History of the World by Ernst Gombrich. It's very famous, and it was written in 1935. So there's a lot of history missing, obviously, but it's interesting to see what Gombrich included in his history. It's very readable. It was written for children, so it's not too heavy. It's quite cheap on Amazon and eBay as well, so it is really worth getting it. So what I want you to think about, what were the 5 most significant historical events highlighted in the book and why, and what would you include in a revised version of A Little History of the World, considering that it only goes up to 1945. So that's those tasks. So we would want you to have this done by September, and to bring this with you, and just to be really interesting for us to gauge your kind of understanding and what you found interesting. Now to the other 2 tasks is to read two introductory articles on the unifications of Germany and Italy. Germany and Italy were not unified nations until the 1860s and 70s. Their story of unification is a long one, and it is a complicated one. So what we've tried to do is to write an article for you that kind of incorporates a very brief, sweeping history of Germany and Italy, and to understand how they became unified nations for the very first time. So the Germany one and the Italy both start around the kind of time of the Romans. They go through to the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, the early modern period, and then eventually how they finally become unified. So we'd like to read through those to get an understanding. It's a really, really excellent way to kind of understand the two Germany and Italy courses, to understand how they became. And it's all about the idea of German and Italian nationalism and their national identities. Okay, so the two questions that we want you to answer for both articles are the same, and it's looking at the challenges that they faced. So why is it that they didn't become unified sooner? What challenges did they face? And then what events had a particularly big impact on unification and why? So were there any turning points throughout history for Italy and Germany which kind of meant that unification was going to happen, or did it prevent it, or did it speed it up? Did it act as a catalyst? What was the driving factor? This is the kind of thing we want you to do at A level, is to think more analytically. Okay, so they're the 2 articles there as well. And if you're obviously even more interested, you can always check the recommended reading for further information about the history of Italy and Germany before the course begins. So this page will be available for you. You will be told by Miss Duncan where you can access this information. Obviously, please do not hesitate to email any member of the history department with any information that you would like, or if you want to talk further about anything else. We are more than happy, and we're here to help and guide you in any way possible. So hopefully this has been informative. Hopefully you can get some work done understanding the Germany and Italy side of things, and you can also use the two websites to kind of explore the study of A-level history and history as a subject even further. Okay, thank you.